I'm only here to make sure he doesn't forget any names.
I don't know any names.
Did it take much convincing to come up with it?
No.
I was just told I do as I'm told. You know what it's like as you get older? There's so many wives in this team telling me what to do. Is that appropriate? Yeah. So I get plenty of orders.
Wayne, sorry.
That's right.
Wayne, from when you started with this team to now, are you where you want to be at? Have you run out of time?
Yeah, you always want more time, don't you? I think we've made progress. The girls are excited. They want to play. They want to attack. I think they like the style that we're trying to put on the track. We'll see on the weekend. You know, we speaking about this morning. World Cups are different. You know, every team marches behind the flag. So teams that you might have beaten previously can be a real difficult proposition at a World Cup. So we've got to go in with that attitude as well, playing for our country, but also playing free so that we can put our game on the field.
It's an exciting young talent in this team. Is that a positive or a concern, if I can use that word?
Well, it's positive for me because it's a game we want to play. It's positive for the country, I think, and there's a lot more young women coming through as well playing the game. I think the future's really bright for women's rugby, which will be great for rugby overall.
So Graham, you've obviously led a New Zealand team at a home World Cup before. How can you best ensure the expectation or the pressure of the crowd in the home World Cup and the atmosphere doesn't kind of overall the team?
Yeah, I think these girls are really excited about the opportunity. I think they'll embrace it. You know, having a full house at Eden Park, which I think will happen by the look of it, will be hugely stimulating for everybody in women's rugby, but very stimulating for the Black Ferns. So, you know, there'll be some concerns. It's just natural to be a bit nervous going in, and it's the first game, so I think people are keen to get that under their belt. But no, I think they'll embrace it. I think they'll go out and play. Australia, as Smithy just said, you know, every team, from our experience of World Cups, they play better at World Cup time than they do in a normal test match. And the Australians don't get together very often, big country, difficult, not a lot of money. So they'll be together for probably 2 or 3 weeks. So they'll be the best they can be, and we've just got to take that on board as well. So I think it'll be a big test.
Wayne, is it important to make a bit of a statement from this group? First up, World Cup opener, Eden Park, hopeful seller. Is that important to you in this group?
Yeah, I think what's important to me is that we play free, we play with joy, and we put on the track what we know we can. I think that's the important thing. Results look after themselves, but we're really interested in the way we play. And if we do that, I think it'll be exciting and we'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it ourselves.
Graham, what have you enjoyed most about working with this team throughout the season?
Oh, I think probably they're enjoying about being here. You know, they're passionate about being here. There's a real love of the game. They don't play a lot, and I think that is reflected. You know, this is a great opportunity to go out and play a bit of footy. Like these girls probably wouldn't play 20 games a year. Where the men's game, they're probably playing 40 games a year. So they're hugely passionate about it and love playing. And the camaraderie is immense, the support for each other, all of those things, you know. So it's a pleasure to be here.
How different is it coaching this team to other teams you've coached or helped coach?
You talking to me, Andrew? Well, you know, these people are women, and I've coached men before, and there's a lot more questions. Probably a bit more apprehension, wanting to make sure they understand what's going on. Like in the men's game, there's a huge base. They've been playing since they were 5. Some of these girls haven't started playing until they were later on in their lives, so they haven't got that built-in knowledge, and because they don't play it so often, a lot of it's new, so you're looking at new stuff all the time. The thing that's probably surprised me is that players keep on coming out of the woodwork. Who's she? Where's she from? Oh, okay, she's not bad. So it's just it's a new experience, and I think it's a new experience for everybody.
You having fun?
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah, it's good.
Good.
The thing that I've realised, or I've seen that's personifies these women, is how excited they get before a game, how much fun they have, how they just really enjoy the contest. Like I think possibly some of it's because they don't play a lot, and they haven't played a lot maybe in the past. They just absolutely love it, you know. And, when we played against Japan, there was a reasonable crowd building at Eden Park, and there's a bit of a wind there, and I asked Ruahei what she wanted to do if we won the toss, and because I thought she might say, "We'll take the wind," and she said, "No, we're going to take the kick off because we want to attack." Now that's a great attitude.
Wayne, how do you, this is obviously going to be a massive occasion in so many ways, I mean, how do you keep a lid on all the players, like emotions and excitement, as you alluded to, because there's going to be a record crowd and it's just such a big occasion for the game?
That's what I got my old mate for. Remember seeing him in the box in that last 20 minutes in 2:11?
I can't remember that.
Players were fine, we were the ones that were a mess. Yeah, we're working on that, clearly. We've got a lot of experience, like we've got gold medal winners from the Olympics, from Commonwealth Games, we've got World Cup winners in the team. So they're talking to the other women about that. We've got another session over the next couple of days on that. It's not easy because it's reality. You know, it's going to be a world record crowd, I think, for a women's test match. And of course there's going to be a lot of excitement, some anxiety around that. The thing you've got to realise is that the game goes quickly and you've got to make your mark. You can't let it go. You know, it'll be half time before you know you've had a half of rugby, so you've got to just make sure that you're in the game.
When we talked earlier this year about discipline, it was after a game with Canada where there was a couple of yellow cards and quite a high penalty count. We saw in the last game against Japan, I think the penalty count was down 15-16 between both teams, so a lot lower. Games are different though. Are you guys where you want to be in terms of discipline and comprehension of the rules and the reality of making mistakes, and you know, what it's going to cost you?
It's a good question. Good question, because it's an issue, and we're pretty clear about how the referees are going to referee the game, where some of the problem areas are, getting within 10 metres of a line out before the line out's over, so understanding when a line out's over, you know, when the ball's off the top or when you've driven past the middle line. So we're pushing all that stuff all the time. Generally there's a bit of a lack of knowledge through the game about that, also in the men's game. So we're pretty clear about what we have to do. Of course, then you've got to go out and do it. But we have referees so this afternoon we'll have a World Cup referee there at training, helping us run the training in terms of the discipline, and you know, we're just ensuring that we're doing everything we can to try and get better in that area.
And is there any concern around the refereeing? I know it's like a touchy subject, but just the difference in interpretation between the Southern Hemisphere and the Northern Hemisphere referees. We've seen a bit of it in the men's game this year, where one interpretation one week is quite different from the next. Is there any concern from you guys around the way it's going to be officiated?
My experience is that referees want the game to be fast, exciting. I don't think they go out to slow it. It's players that slow it up. So I think we'll just be talking to the refs all the time about it. Are we doing okay? Are we giving enough quick ball? Are we onside? And I think those sorts of conversations are really positive on the field, so that you're actually helping each other. You can't control, decisions, what's going to happen too much. So I just think a really good relationship needs to be established, and then you normally get a good game.
Wayne, how was the debate between you guys in selecting this particular team for this game?
We've had a long time together, Ted and I, and I suppose the selection system we have really is generally you go with the crowd, not the crowd, but you go with the majority. Selection's not easy, particularly when you've got a team of 32 women that are all really good. We've got a really strong team. There's women who didn't make this team who are outstanding as well. So there's some difficult decisions, but generally they emerge. As you give players opportunity, they select themselves at the end of the day. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We're not going to make wholesale changes, but we're going to make sure everyone gets a chance, and then it'll be up to the players generally.
There's been a bit of discussion about the strengths and the style of the Northern Hemisphere teams, particularly England and France, off the back of the tour last year, and how you guys are going to deal with that. But I wonder if you see it working the other way as well, that they have to deal with the style and strengths that this team has as well.
Yeah, you can be certain that they're looking at us, coming up with plans just as we're coming up with plans to play them. Essentially there is a different style, and it's a big part of the game is how you neutralise them, but how you impose yourself on them. So that's what the contest is. And you can't prophesise what that's going to look like too much. We've got to see what happens during the tournament. But it's fair to say that on last year's tour there was a massive difference between the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere teams. But there are other factors around that as well. Lack of game time for our ladies before they left. I think got taken by surprise a wee bit. That won't happen this time. Whether that closes the gap or not is up to us.
Is it a mindset thing though, that you guys are thinking more about the strengths that you have and how you can do what you want to do as opposed to trying to manage or handle what they bring?
Yeah, we do a lot of analysis. We've got a good crew in that area, so we do look at the other team pretty closely, and there's always, every team's got Achilles heels, so it's a matter of working out what they are and then strengthening ours. So in my experience going through a tournament like this, you just got to keep improving, keep being on top of it, working hard on seeing what the others are doing, and then being prepared when you play them to attack them where you think they're vulnerable, and then shore up your defence where you're vulnerable. So it's just an ongoing process.
Do you have to expect the unexpected in a World Cup across the tournament?
I think so. I think one of the things we learned when we were involved with the men was the unexpected will happen in a tournament, and you just got to handle it. And that was big during our time. And I'm sure there'll be incidents in this tournament where the unexpected has happened. Red card, injury to key players, and how you handle those things. Because at the end of the day, you've got no excuse. You just got to try and do the business. So, no, I think that'll be a factor. I guess our team right now is hasn't had a lot of experience, so there's less rugby played in the Southern Hemisphere for women than the Northern Hemisphere. So England got 1,200 plus caps, and they're 32, where we've got about 380. So that's a massive difference in experience and being out there and playing the game. So we've got to come to it quickly if we're going to be competitive. So that's a massive advantage for France, who also got a lot of caps compared with what we've got.
What's it been like being back in the coach's box at Eden Park? And what will it be like being back in that coach's box at Eden Park on Saturday? Because I presume you thought that wouldn't happen.
Well, I won't be in the coach's box. So I'm going to the 3 games. My job is to look at the opposition and feedback on that. So I'll watch the 2 early games with some real interest, and then I feed back into the coach's box. So they'll get a message from me of what I think, which hopefully is helpful before half time.
It's a great coaching box to be in.
I don't want to go in that coach's box again, thank you.
After last time.
No, it wasn't a great experience. You know, you 20 minutes to go, you're thinking south of France.
Helicopter off the roof.
Yeah, bed and bury, you know, hiding away. What a difference a point makes, eh?
Wayne, just with Amy at 12, what's the idea behind that shift?
I think with Amy talked to me pretty early on about her ability to play both positions. She's really keen to work on that, so we've been putting a bit of time in on that. She suits the position, I think, with the lines that she runs. She's tough. Defensively, she's quick off the ground and quick back into position. She's got a huge amount of energy. So it's an opportunity for her to align with Stacey, and I thought they did really well against Japan in that second half. A good combination. We got a lot of good players there. You know, you got Teresa Fitzpatrick and Sylvia Brunt sitting in the wings, who will get opportunities as well. So it's a hell of a competition in that area. But yeah, so that's the reason for Amy being there. I got an inkling that she's going to suit our style of play.
Wayne, your affiliation with the women's game goes back to, Laurie O'Reilly. What have you made of, the evolution of the game, and what are your hopes and dreams for the first home World Cup?
Yeah, there's been a big evolution, obviously. If you think about Laurie and the Crusadettes, who travelled to England, and I think they were away 27 days and played 21 games or something, and they slept on the floors of pubs in Wales, and then '97 I was involved with Daryl Sursa as a technical advisor, and we stayed at Burnham Military Camp and played a test against England at Burnham Military Camp, and now we're at Eden Park and we're staying in the ridges. So there's been a huge evolution of it. Probably needed a revolution. It's been a long time, but there's real progress being made now, and it's really exciting for the game, I reckon. Exciting for New Zealand that these women and the future generations, they'll have children. They will be encouraging their children to play rugby, and if you want an explosion in the game, that's going to be one of the ways that it can happen, I reckon.
And just, the legacy of this team at World Cups, very successful. I guess that potentially it's a bit of expectation. Do you look to embrace it, or do you think this group is different? It's come from a different starting point.
Yeah, like having won 5 World Cups, there's definitely expectation, and there's an understanding of who we are and who's been before us. But it doesn't mean a lot out on the field, and the game's changed. You've got the early stages of the professional game here, and you've got women coming from Europe who've been professional for a few years now. There's been a lot of money poured into their game. So the landscape's slightly different, but the expectation remains. And as I've said, I keep saying it, but my expectation is that we we play freely and we play the game that we want to play. We don't let the pressure get to us about that.
You've done a few special things in terms of bringing people in for Tuesday presentations and their mentors that you know. Have you got anything planned between now and kick-off?
Got lots planned. Yeah, you try, like we're getting a lot of help. We've, a lot of players that Ted and I have coached in the past have been open to helping as mentors for players. You know, Ma Nonu came up to meet Sylvia Brunt, you know, a couple of weeks ago. This is how much they love the game, these guys, and they want to help. So we feel really fortunate about that. I feel fortunate to have Ted here helping and Mike Cron, you know, two of the best I've ever worked with, two of the best the world has ever had probably, and so we're throwing everything at it. Doesn't guarantee anything, but you know, I think we've given it everything we've got, and hopefully we go well.
I'm going to have to wrap up here. Any last questions?
Keep having flashbacks and expecting Steve Hansen to saunter in mumbling and grumbling way.
Yeah, well, he's got his daughter and
That's right.
with us, Whitney, so yeah, she's doing well. She's a smart lady, very detailed, great on the computer, girls love her, so there's still that influence.
Well, just quickly, you've got a few players listed injured for this game. Are they likely to be back fit for next weekend?
Some will be. Some have repaired really quickly. Others might take another week. We're not too sure. It's sort of that balance of almost being right. Don't want to push them too hard. We're okay at the moment. We don't have to panic too much. We've got plenty of cover. But yeah, we'd like them back as soon as we can to at least give some footy and get them started.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.